Hello and welcome to Trails, Tales and Fails, the podcast where grit meets glory and every mile tells a story. In this episode, which we are super excited about, we're strapping in for an epic ride with none other than the amazing, awesome, brilliant, fabulous Dave Harvey, ultra runner, guitarist, mental health worker and co-host of the fabulous Portsmouth Running Podcast. Now, before we get into it, Dave has completed and he's also won some epic races. He's recently won the 200-mile Cardiff to London Marathon, which sounds like an awesome but very, very challenging race, as well as having previously won the 200-mile tunnel. He's also run some epic trails, including UTMB, TDS, Western States, pretty much every single Centurion race that there is, and loads more as well. Dave's journey is nothing short of awesome, legendary, epic. He logs 200 milers on Strava and keeps his morning run. He downs only the poshest coffee, and apparently his friends say that he has a vendetta against Coldplay that is almost as intense as his love for Metallica. So lace up, plug in, and get ready to dive into the mind of a man who lives loud, runs long, and lifts others along the way. As always, if you like the podcast, please do leave us a review and share on socials, as it does help reach more runners and help spread the word. Thanks a lot. We hope you enjoy. Dave, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, all right.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's been mentioned actually for maybe even a couple of months now about getting you on.
It has. It was a run with Daniel DP.
Yeah.
And he told me about some of your adventures, and it was like, oh crumbs, this is going to be a special chat. So yeah.
Right.
So yeah, he gave a good. He gave a very. What's it called when you like write off about someone? Like a very good.
Synopsis?
Yeah, a good, exactly that.
So I voice noted DDP, previous guest, and co-host of yours on the Portsmouth Running Podcast, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's the only running podcast in Portsmouth, or are there more?
I don't think there's a massive list of Portsmouth running podcasts out there, but I have no doubt we'd be the top of the list if there was. But...
Yeah. And I voice noted him and was like, right, you need to give me the scoop on Dave. And I got quite a lengthy message. So, yeah, there we go.
Forward to chipping into it. But before we go into that, we're going to start with our icebreaker question.
Right.
So,
Okay.
ready, Dave? If you could choose any celebrity, past or present, to pace you through the final 20 miles of an ultra, who would it be and why?
So it would absolutely be James Hetfield from Metallica, who I'm absolutely obsessed with Metallica and have been since I was very, very young boy. And the guy fascinates me, and I don't quite idolise him, but you know, if someone was to say who was your idol, then it would be James Hetfield. So you can't see my room. This is like the side room that we're turning into a bar in our house because we've just moved house, and it's like covered in Metallica stuff, like a child's bedroom.
Oh, amazing.
And it's quite sad. So behind me I've got like Metallica box sets and things like that. But
does your partner like Metallica?
Sorry?
Does your partner like Metallica?
She loves Metallica, yeah.
Okay.
So we're a bit mad Metallica fans, but some of my best kind of like conversations have always been had when I've been running with people, because it kind of strips you down. And after I'd gone past the first couple of miles of being like, "Hi, you're a god," I would probably get into a decent conversation with him, and it would like strip back and find out about who the real James Hetfield is. So that would be cool. And you know, he was an alcoholic at one point. So actually, he is an alcoholic, but I'm sure he's got some interesting war stories behind him there.
Yeah, that sounds like it would pass 20 miles quite smooth. Like, yeah, it would go quickly. Maybe we should say the last 50 miles. And we haven't had him suggested first, so that he is a first.
Have you had many of the same people then, have you?
No, they're actually all been different. So
I think actually, and this might upset you, I feel like we've had Chris Martin twice.
Have you really? What
Definitely
was that?
once. Yeah.
They were cyclists or something, were they?
Wow.
Play on. What are your guilty pleasures? What are your go-to snacks? Or I'm going to take out music. So go-to snacks or race rituals that keep you motivated and entertained on those long runs.
Snacks.
Yeah, is it just anything which is a bit like
naughty, a bit unusual?
A bit naughty. Well, I've not got anything sort of unusual, but one of my, and this is a bit odd again, one of my guilty pleasures is having a good sick when I'm running. And because I do bosh the goo gels quite a lot, and sometimes I just go, the one thing that I need to do right now is throw up, so I just throw up. But yeah, and I feel like, given that I'm a mental health nurse that has worked with eating disorders throughout my life, I feel like that is a very incredibly guilty, horrible thing to do. But outside of that, it'd be a Boost bar.
Great shout.
Love
it.
Being in the fridge, a bit hard on the out, a bit of a crunch to it, a bit of a yeah, it's a great shout.
Do you know what I've got? I've got a fond memory of a Boost bar, and I bought them deliberately before the Lakeland 100 one year, because I was like, I know I like these. These are brilliant, and put them in a halfway drop bag. Whacked it in my bag when I got there, and I was going up Fusedale. I don't know if you've been up that climb. It's probably about 65 miles in.
Oh yeah, I have been.
Rain was just pouring down in my face, and the wind was blowing us back down the hill, and it takes probably 2 hours to get up the top of this climb. And I was so distraught and so broken, I just didn't know what to do. And then I remembered I had my Boost bar on me, and it was like a moment of pure comfort and brilliance coming out of my pocket. And just
that's a great one. I might try, but
I feel like today's generation of children don't really appreciate a Boost bar,
or a Lion bar. I don't think they'd appreciate a Lion bar.
Lion bar.
I remember when we were kids. Boost bar. I was like, that's a treat. That's a big one. That's a good shout, right?
So you are having some incredible runs, which you're going to come on to a bit later. But going way back, what first sparked your interest in running, and how did that evolve into your passion for ultras? Is that two separate things, or have they sort of blended?
No, that makes sense. Well, in all honesty, when I was a little kid, I was over at boarding school, so the only thing that we had really was mates and sports. Other than I had one friend that was my only friend that liked heavy metal at the time, so it was either listen to metal or go and play sports. And, you know, a lot of that was athletics, cross country, cricket, football. And I loved it. And, you know, I really, really lived for movement and keeping active. And after my GCSEs, I went and did music in college. So I got into a very different kind of sport that involved rolling up Rizzlers and smoking some green stuff, and did that for a few years instead, and made some good friends that I still know now, but just loved kind of hanging out, listening to music, playing guitar, getting stoned, then getting drunk, you know, going to do the whole clubbing thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until probably age 27 that I suddenly thought, God, I haven't done any exercise for a while, and I've started to get a bit of a beer belly, partied too much, you know, sort of went to a lot of festivals, discovered all the parts of my brain that I could possibly explore, and then came out the other side thinking, God, I better bloody go and do some exercise now. And I never really fancied the gym, so thought, well, I'm just going to go. I quite fancy running, so I just went and bought a pair of Reebok pump shoes from United Footwear down Fratton Road, and they didn't have any shoelaces. They just had this disc on the front that I just twist up, and they probably lasted me for a couple of years, including probably running 100 miles in them. And as soon as I did it, as soon as I went out there and did 1 mile, I was like, oh my God, I've just run a mile. That is amazing. And that was it. Like, literally, that was it. And I was hooked straight away. So went through that kind of process of going, oh, maybe I'll go and do the London Marathon. Never got in, still haven't. And just thought, well, let's just go and run. And I found some friends that through a friend of my bandmate, and he used to be really fat. And I looked at him because I was quite overweight, but he used to be proper fat. And I just said to him, you know, how did you lose all that weight? And he ran 5 miles a day, it turned out. And I thought, no one can run 5 miles a day. That's just not possible. And then it turns out it's quite easy.
Yeah.
It's easy to get to that point. Before I actually ran a marathon, I pretty much saw the first Centurion 100-mile race and was like, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. And just doing a marathon was probably just an excuse to get to that 50-mile point, to go and do like the South Downs 50, to then go and do a 100-miler. And on the way of getting to that first marathon, we had done like 4 marathons over 4 days and ran from Kent to Surrey just to get into the swing of kind of running and doing these long distances. And back then I didn't know anything. Like, you know, we would go with big hiking rucksacks full of stuff and, you know, cotton socks and, you know, Reebok pump shoes. And we would literally go and run for like 100 miles and have a laugh doing it. You know, my friend Dan would have 2 bags on his back and he would do it in a pair of like cotton board shorts, that kind of thing. And there was just no like, there was no process to it. It was just for the intrigue of long distance and going out there and doing it. And it was
how long ago was that? How long ago was that sort of the Reebok backpacks?
That was probably about 12, 13 years ago, I would have thought.
Yeah, because looking at some of your races, you
Sorry?
must have been close to sort of doing some of the Centurion races, like when they initially actually started. When did they start? Like 2012, was it?
Yeah, it would have been around then. I know one guy from, I don't know if you know the name, Martin Bacon, and he was part of this Pompey Joggers crew of ultra runners that I was like, well, who are these crazy cats? And I think Martin won what I think was the first Thames Path 100. And back then it wasn't 14 hours or 13 hours. It was like 17 to 20 hours would get you the win. And I think he did it wading through up to his armpits in water. And, you know, so the safety wasn't what it is now. And the times aren't what it was now. Over 10 years, ultra running has gone from something that people complete to something that people really compete in incredibly well, you know. And I think when I first started out, Scott Jurek was probably the most famous one that was winning Western States in 17 hours, you know, that kind of thing. Or I was reading his book about him doing that. So yeah, I mean, I'm not old. I'm 40. Well, I don't think I'm old. You can tell me if I am. I'm 41.
No, you're definitely not old. I'm older than you, so you're very young.
I am very. Thank you very much. So that's it really. And you know, I can't imagine much of the detail. I can't remember much of the detail of it. But my life was literally party, go for 1 mile run, and then there was, you know, running was my life as well. You know, and it sort of took over playing guitar and rocking out and going and playing gigs and festivals and stuff. So,
do you still play in a band, or is it just the run? Is it?
No, we've all got kids now, and they apparently they're more important than playing a guitar. So.
You need to practice that answer, Dave, if I can say that.
Yeah, I'll do it. I normally go, no, I can't play guitar because the kids are more important.
Yeah.
I think arguably though, running ultras and training for an ultra probably takes more time than being in a band and meeting once a week to practice and going off like once or two times a month to go and do a gig. But there's
less cocaine in it as well, I think.
So which one was your first ultra?
I don't know.
Which one can you remember as being your first?
It was probably something like the South Downs 50, or to do an official ultra to get onto a 100-miler would have been the South Downs 50. But we used to go and do stuff like winter tanners with the LDWA and that kind of thing. That would be 30 miles where you follow a written word to find your way. But yeah, it probably would have been one of the first South Downs 50s, I think, to go in.
And what a beautiful one to have as one of your first. So.
Yeah, I've done it 5 times now, and this year I went and did it, and I was like, oh, they've put the start line 100 meters back. How lovely!
So you've raced some awesome events, UTMB, TDS. Am I right in saying Western States?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And pretty much all of the Centurion races, apart from saying that you've done the Winter Downs, have you?
Not yet, no. I fancy the 200 on that now.
You've also done the tunnel?
I have, yeah.
Lakeland, Cardiff to London, which congratulations on the win. Like those are some epic events. Are there any of those which like stand out as being the most memorable or just like your proudest achievement?
So the one I always wanted to do was Western States, and that's obviously, it's well documented, that race, isn't it? And it's there's lots of films about it and books about it. So
how did that come about?
That one, I was chatting to my friend Stuart, and he said to me that, oh, did you know that Western State, you get a qualifier with, if you finish a Centurion race for the Western States? I was like, oh, go on then, let's throw our name in the hat. So I had 1 ticket for that, and this was back in like 2016, I guess. It would have been sort of winter of 2016 that we put our names in the hat. And I hope my mum doesn't listen to this, because she'll be really pissed off with me if I say this, but I'd been up for a couple of nights at my friend's house, and we had been partying, doing all sorts of stuff. And then on the Sunday night, I took some magic mushrooms, and we were sort of laying there, and it was like, whoa, and then sort of sobered up and thought, God, I need to sort my shit out here. This is really silly of me. And opened up my phone and saw, like, why have I got 500 or 600 quid taken out of my account? And like, what's going on there? It might not have been that much. And then I was like, oh my fucking God, I've got into the Western States. And then like got really excited about it, and then just thought, right, I'm going to concentrate on that now, and got into that. And that was, off of 1 ticket. And I didn't realise how lucky I was back then, but now having 64 tickets or 68 or whatever it is, I now realise how lucky I was to be able to get into that. And that was the first race I've done abroad, and it was really, really hot. So for me, that was, and that still remains my fondest memory when it comes to running. But my proudest achievement is probably to win the tunnel, really, because that was something that was almost the polar opposite of the Western States. It's an undesirable situation to be in.
So
it's an incredibly long way. Like, why would you want to do that? It's not sexy. It's not,
We've not really spoken about the tunnel on here, have we? So do you want to just, for people who don't know what the tunnel is, just give like a snapshot on what the race is and why it's so horrible?
And then why we do it.
Yeah, so every masochist needs a sadist, don't they? And my sadist at the time was Mark Cobain, who puts on Cobain events. And it's a 200-mile race for a 1-mile tunnel in the dark that you have to run 100 out and backs within 55 hours to make the 200 miles. But the actual distance works out to be something closer to about 210, 211 miles, because it's not an exact mile. So, and you have some water and some food at one end, like a portable toilet, and then it's just literally you, no headphones, no crew, no sticks, no nothing. It's just you do your 100 out and backs, and then you finish. And the great thing about his races is there is no, you know, if you guys have done UTMB races or something like that, or where it's all music at the start, it's all exciting, it's, you know, it's more of an event. Whereas Mark's races, it's just like you do your run and then we shake hands and you go home. So, you know, it's like well done. And I really like that about it, because I'm a guy that fights for the underdog. I'm an introverted person, and I like that sort of low key approach to things. Like, you know, as great as Western States as UTM and UTMB are, they're all about show, and they're all about kudos and, you know, celebration, and it's all cool. It's nice to experience, but it's not really running. You know, it's not. You know, there's barbecues every 10k at the Western States.
Yeah.
And at Mark's, you get a bit of water, and I really, really like that, because it strips it down. It is, you know, if you love running, then you don't need any more than that, really. So
I don't know. I think I'd find the soloness of it with the no music and the darkness. I think that would be. I guess it's flat, right? Is it like on a road?
Yeah. Well, it's uphill one way, downhill the other. But the uphill is so gentle that you can feel the uphill, but you don't get any benefit from the downhill. So it's actually quite a kind of tough thing. But if you're able to sit, you know, with yourself, and if you do any meditation, the tunnel is meditation. It drives some people insane because it's so quiet, but actually it's a really comfortable place to be.
I think Daniel said also you can't chat to people, as in like you're not allowed to run with people in the tunnel. Is that right?
Yeah, you're not supposed to be side by side.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a deeply disorientating environment, the tunnel, because it's so dark. They just have some low dimmer switch type lights. You know, if you put a dimmer switch on its lowest setting, that's how much light you would have in there, and then it goes totally dark overnight. So once you've done 24 hours and start going into the second night in pitch black, then that's really creepy, because the hallucinations just getting like real, like kind of serious, you know. So
not one for you then, Sarah.
I don't know. I was, before I was I knew Dave had done it, and I was like, absolutely not. But when you say about stripping it back to taking it to what it is, which is the running, but then no chatting, no music.
Yeah, I mean, you can chat. There was a couple of guys there that they didn't stop talking for probably 24 hours. And every time I went past them, I thought, I don't have that much to say. You know, I can probably talk for an hour, and then I'll get like low dopamine and have to go and have a sleep or something.
Yeah. I think not to have anyone at the either end of the tunnel, like just to sort of say, like just to check in or anything, not even to sort of support you, but check in. I don't know.
Yeah, they're more.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
They're more likely to tell you to F off than they are to say well done.
Yeah, so like it's, right now it's still a no, but if I was to hang out with Dave a bit more, I don't know. Let's when we run one time, Dave, let's put it on our agenda.
Yeah.
So we've heard that we've heard you keep your epic races on Strava logged simply as morning run. What's behind that approach?
Well, I guess if you go, I don't know, I'm not really a Strava person, so I know my account is linked to it and I do look at it, but there's people that upload hundreds of photos and put all sorts of stuff on it, and every now and again I might change it to say that was a crap route or something, but
yeah,
you know, morning trail run.
I you know what, when Max I will share that Max puts the questions together, and when I read this one through, I get teased a lot by Big Rob because I do the same. I like morning run. I did the arc and it was like morning no, it was afternoon run because it started later later in the day, and it drives him mad. Like he has a real thing about it, and it makes me like not want to change it even more, because I'm like, afternoon run, morning run. So
if you're as stubborn as I am, now it's been pointed out, then
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I have never ever changed my title.
He's literally doing voice notes on the group going, for goodness sake, when are you going to change the Strava? He's like, you can't have the Arc 100 as an afternoon run. That's outrageous.
Yeah, do you know what? I've got a similar story to this. I was at Glastonbury Festival a few years ago, and I think we got there on a Tuesday, and I was wearing this T-shirt, and by Thursday I still had the same T-shirt on. And someone, I think it was Louisa or Heather, said, "You can't wear that for another day." And I went, "Excuse me, I can wear what I bloody well want, thank you very much." So that stayed on until Monday.
That's strong. That's strong.
Yeah, no, now you've said it, mate.
A little
Sorry.
pain. Yeah.
There must be a little theme to this, because I had a conversation with Rob, who should be here but isn't, and he was like, you know, if you challenge me not to do something, if you challenge me not to do something, that I'll go and I'll damn well do it. And he's so disorganized, so I was literally just whacking on the group like, oh, Rob's definitely not going to wake up in time for the South Downs 800 on Saturday. Rob's definitely not going to have all of his kit backed nice and early, and he definitely won't have forgotten anything.
Rob definitely won't taper.
Yeah, just in the hope that actually he's so stubborn that he takes some of that and he actually executes some of the
ultra runners are a little bit stubborn, right?
Got to pay into it.
So another fun fact about you, as you said, you were a guitarist. The band, I believe, was called Belligerence.
Belligerence.
And one of your original tunes, is that the Portsmouth Running Podcast intro?
It is, yeah. It's, I don't get any royalties off of it though, which is a bit disappointing. But...
Well, I think you probably need to have a quick chat with Daniel about that.
I'm gonna get my lawyers involved on this one.
Do you think that your sort of your music influences have any sort of influence how you approach like running, or like your mental well-being around running, that sort of thing, or do you think they're just like two separate things?
No. I think they're in. I wouldn't say. I want to steer away from it being part of my personality, but like they are. Music is inherently like a part of me, and I, it's the first thing I think about when I wake up and stuff. And running's a close second, but I think they are inherently interlinked. I think ultra running, to me, it feels like the rock and roll version of running.
Yeah,
and that for me is quite awesome. And I'm a man of extremes, so I'll quite happily sit here listening to like Horse Bastard or Napalm Death, really, really fast grindcore, screamy stuff that will drive most people insane. And that kind of thing, the closest running related explanation for that music is, for me, ultra running. And the further down the rabbit hole you go, the more crazy, the more rock and roll it gets, and the more out there it gets. And some metal and some heavy metal and grindcore death metal can really get extreme. And it's an extreme type of music. Like, it's inherently a crazy extreme. It goes to those kind of like the peripherals of what most people would listen to, because most people are really boring and they love Coldplay and they love Foo Fighters and all of this crap, safe music. So they're more likely, they'll be like, oh, let's go run a 5K and, then go and, be all nice and cuddle the cat and stuff like that.
That's
like, no, let's go and run in a fucking tunnel, and then we'll go and listen to Cannibal Corpse and get hammered. Like, that's just who I am.
Dave, I'm going to be happy to make a note when we listen back to this and make notes of these bands and Google them. Like what's this? Who is this? Yeah. I'm afraid, although I'm looking forward to many chats when we run together, music won't be one of our conversation points.
Oh, right. Okay, that's cool. But there's, it's like politics, isn't it? Maybe with some people you just have to stay out of it.
I'm really interested in music. Like, don't get me wrong, I love music, but my music taste when I run is all the 90s pop. That's the only reason.
Oh, cool. Nice. honest, no, I couldn't. I like a bit of 90s pop.
Oh, okay. Oh, for you. Oh, we can still be friends.
Yeah. Actually, I put in one of the questions that you sent me, I was about talking to your younger self, that it was about one of the non-running ones was about getting into rave music and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
See, I used to love a bit of rave music. Rave music, happy hardcore.
Yeah, see, that's a little bit too happy for me. You know, I like a bit more harder. Okay. I think.
Right.
But I think Bonkers, was it the Bonkers box sets that were happy hardcore back in the 90s? I don't
know. It's a long time ago. I can't remember.
Anyway.
Right.
Can I move going? I'm going to jump into the next one. So, you work in mental health care, which is an incredibly special profession. How does that side of your life connect with your ultra running mindset? Because,
you've touched on the fact that you work in mental health care with eating disorders, correct?
I have done, yeah. I have done.
And I feel like, it's interesting because, like, in the world of ultra, people can have, especially if there's a backstory, such an interesting approach to how they fuel their body in, like, when they train, when they're like racing, when they're recovering. That's just a really interesting, must be quite an interesting way that you look at it from, like, the work perspective.
I think, like, you know, I've had my moments in my life, you know, I think like we all have, and you know, somehow we always get the strength to get through that. And, you know, you can use metaphors like that for running, and you're going through like a downtime, in that, you know, however bad things get, there's always a little glimmer of hope for most of us. But for some people, they, you know, there isn't, and they take lives, and I find that incredibly sad. And I don't know if there's much in the kind of running psychology that I can connect to my job, because, you know, I sort of do it because I've got a lot of compassion and empathy for people, and want to help them, and always have done from a really, really young age, and that's why I went into it. So from a job point of view, it's always been about compassion, helping people, and empathy, and not anything that was sort of about myself. And running became something that was really helpful to balance out the times when you were having a long 12-hour shift on a ward, locked in with people that were seriously unwell. And you would have conversations about running, and they wouldn't be able to go and do it themselves, because they might be on a section of the Mental Health Act or something. But in all honesty, it became something. It's something that I've tried to get people to do when they're inpatients, or if they're in recovery from alcohol or heroin addiction or anything like that. I've always mentioned running as something that can be really helpful. And I don't know if you guys have seen the film about the Skid Row Marathon. That's worth watching. That's on Amazon, where a judge there, he's fed up with sending people into prison because they've got addictions and they go and steal. Like, he said, well, let's get these people running. And I've seen in some places that running can be used really helpful as a crutch and a tool to, or, you know, a route out of recovery, or a route to better mental health for individuals. And that's really one of the reasons why I go for a run myself. And that, you know, that ability to cope with life is really, you know, running really feeds into that for me.
Yeah.
And I do talk to people at work, and, you know, and reflect on it. And I'm sure you guys are the same, is that if you get into that bit, you know, you're a bit overwhelmed and you don't really know what to do about a problem or a situation you're in, that going for a run can start to just make sense of it, and it will start to put the piles of sand in, you know, the piles into nicer piles, rather than just like obliterated mess.
Yeah.
And for me, running really helps me do that, and, you know, in massive ways. So, you know, when the going gets tough, rather than doing more work, I normally go out for a run, because I'll be able to come back and I've rationalised things and I'll know what action to take. Whereas if I sat there and was just going, I don't know what to do, I would work myself up more. So it becomes, for me, it's something about a coping strategy and a way of life, and something that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
And, I wish I could get that across to people when they're acutely unwell. Some people that have got it previously get it when they get unwell as well, and they think, actually, I'd need to start running again. Or if people in recovery that have run before, they would say that they need to start doing that again because they recognise that they did that when they were well. So that would be my kind of answer in that, there's obviously, I'm sure there's lots of psychology behind it, but for me, really, it's something about making sure that I can stay healthy myself, and mentally healthy, physically healthy, I guess.
Yeah, I think I think you make a lot of really good points there. And for me, due to my life schedule, I run in the mornings early, but actually I do love the mornings, and it completely resets me ready for the day. Like, I'm ready to start the day with what the challenges are. And it's something very special. And although people might think we're mad, which possibly it's a fair point to make. You're right. It keeps us. It's something that keeps us healthy in so many other ways in our little bubble. So
some people don't get it, do they? No. And that's fine. And no one's judging them for that, because they've got their other way that they get that out of them. But if you get it, then you don't need to say that, because I get it why you get up for a run in the morning, and it sets you up for the day. But it's almost something you can't explain. It does it for me.
Yeah.
Right.
It's you.
Okay. So we're going to do quick about the SMOGATHon. Are you a co-organizer of the SMOGATHon?
Are you coming to do it this year, are you?
Pardon?
Are you coming to do it this year, are you?
When is it?
We'll probably do it at the end of November. That's the kind of traditional time when we sort of, about a month before, go, oh, bloody hell, we should be doing the SMOGATHon this year.
A couple of my friends did it last year. Vix Henderson and Vinchy did a few miles, I think. Stuart Vinchy.
Oh, do you know Vic, do you?
Yeah. I met her on a Centurion run, and then she did the arc, and I saw her on the 50 for the South Downs. She did the South Downs Way 50 as well. So
she's a legend.
Yeah, so tell us about it. Why?
Yeah. So firstly, Vic is a legend. She's awesome. And if after the TDS, I was ruined. I could hardly stand, and I'd look like I'd just been dragged through a million hedges and mountains backwards, and was like spat out the other side. Like, what the hell just happened? No, I've got a photo of her. She's like nonchalantly just at the line, looking like she's just had a full makeover and got changed and just run the TDS. I was like, how have you done that? Anyway.
Yeah, she's a legend.
She'll appreciate me saying that if she listens to this. So what was the question again?
So how did it all come about? How did it come about? I mean, sell it to us. Come on.
Yeah. So I think we were training for Mark Cockbane's lap 25-hour winter race round in circles. And I remember going around the Eastern Road roundabout and thinking, oh, look at that. That looks like a decent loop. Maybe we should go and do it on that. So Dan and I went and did the first SMOGATHon just, on our own. And I was like, and we made an event out of it. So there was both of us there and two of us there. He'd made us little numbers, and I did a race briefing on the camera. And we ran a marathon around this silly roundabout and saw a crash and had to find the safest pillar to poo by, where you didn't get seen by too many cars and stuff like that. So the SMOGATHon was born. So I think we've done 3 or 4 now. And the second year we had our mates there, and then last year there was like 20 people turn up, and we were like, what are these people doing here? They must be mad. So
I remember Daniel posting about it on Instagram. It looked like you had a pretty good turnout, and some people ran some of it and others ran the full thing, didn't they?
Yeah. We're trying to get a celebrity every year now. So the first year it was my daughter, And last year, I can't remember who the appointed celebrity was. Might be Binchy.
Oh, can't. That's a good celebrity,
Yeah.
Binchy.
Yeah, it's a good laugh. You do 13 miles one way around the roundabout, watch the cars crash, and then do 13 round the other way.
You're doing it really well, Dave. Honestly, it's in the race calendar already.
It sounds more exciting than the tunnel, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely a starting point, isn't it? So, we have talked about it, and it's And there's Daniel talks about other crazy marathon inventions, I should call them, in the future too.
So there was one that was born in lockdown out of being bored. So we did a marathon up and down Farlington Avenue in Portsmouth. That was quite good. I think it worked out, it was about 6,000 or 7,000 feet. Like people outside their houses going, "What are you doing?" I just run a marathon up and down, man. And there's some crazy ideas that we sort of float around. And I don't know if you've ever done Satan's Climb and Oh Seriously down the back of Butser. So
yes, the gravelly one.
Yeah, so it's a steep down and then steep straight back up. If you go down the back, it's called Grandfather's Bottom.
Okay. You must have done it because.
Yeah, you know it. I'm sure you know it. It's a horrible one, but it's about 0.3 miles down and up, and something like 700 feet. So I thought maybe if we can do that as a marathon as well, just go backwards and forwards, that'd be quite good. So.
I reckon that'd be good fun.
Yeah, I don't know. Right, should we move on?
Oh God. Okay. Right. So
I'll save the food now. You can go and do that.
We're going to do truth or lie. So I believe you have some statements for us, and what we'll do is if you give us a statement, we might ask you we'll ask you a few questions around it, and then we'll decide whether we think it's true or whether we think it's a lie, and we'll be going sort of like head to head. And then
we score it, Dave. We score it.
And then second statement, third statement, and then at the end you can reveal the answers. So
you score it on a out of 1, 2, 3 to let me know how good it is or bad it is or how likely it is.
No, like who gets it right, as in we score it as in.
Oh right, okay. All competition then.
Yeah. Not as in that one was only a 1, that was really bad. So that one was a 3.
No.
Okay, right, cool. So, the first one is that I normally always wear black nail varnish because I can't stand to have 1 or 2 black toenails. So I kind of think that if I just paint them all black, then job done.
Oh, this is so believable.
It's so believable. At least he's got black toenails rather than no toenails.
You're assuming that I've got toenails.
Well, I was going to say, my question is going to be, if you're missing a toenail, do you just paint a little bit over the skin?
Yeah, on the crusty bit underneath, I'll just do it.
You just fill that in.
How long have you been doing this little
Probably about 10 years now, because I couldn't stand it after I first saw him. I was like, there's got to be a solution to this. So I thought, well, right, there we go. I'm going to paint them all black, and have gone into Wetherspoons before and had a really upset bunch of people around me because I'm a man with black toenails. I'm like, well, I am just a man with black toenails, I'm afraid. So.
Well, my uncle, who's with my aunt, he likes to paint he also paints his toenails. So, if this is true, then this would be like somebody else I know. Do you paint them, or does your partner paint them for you?
I normally paint them quite badly, or my daughter tried recently, and that didn't go very well either. So it's not like I've been to a whatever you call it. Pedicurist.
I was going to say a pedicurist. Right, I'm looking in.
Yeah, for me, this is it's very believable. It's got to be true.
I'm also going to go true. I'm also going to go true. I hate. Well,
okay. Statement number 2, please.
Okay, so back in 2016, I actually messaged Lars Ulrich from Metallica, who's the drummer. They were doing a UK tour at the time, asking him if he fancied going for a run together. And lo and behold, he messaged me back on Instagram and said, yeah, why not? Meet me at the O2. And we did about 4 miles along the Thames Path.
Sorry, when was this? When was it?
And 2016. They were playing the O2. They'd just done the Hardwired album, and we'd got tickets to go see him. And I was there with my mate Gary and Tim, and managed to get a run out of them. And I was actually really disappointed that James wouldn't come, because, as you know, James is my absolute hero. But was absolutely over the moon when Lars messaged me back on Instagram as well.
This is said, yeah, I hate that this is true. This would be epic.
Yeah.
What time did you run?
What time? It was like midday, because they had to do sound check and all of that stuff. So it takes a couple of days for them to set up, because they've got a massive stage show. And one of the things that got me was that I said I could take him via the Tower Bridge, because he always runs in San Francisco and takes photos by the Golden Gate Bridge. And I thought that would be awesome for him to get a photo to send onto the onto his Instagram.
Did you pop it on Strava as afternoon run?
Yeah, it was afternoon run. Yeah. You can go and check. He's tagged in it.
Right, go on, then.
I think this is a lie.
I think you're gonna say false. I think this is true. There's too many facts, and the fact that Dave is so confidently, he looks like quite an honest chap. So the fact that he so confidently said you could check my Strava, you wouldn't know that he wasn't telling the truth.
Yeah, unless that's what he wants you to believe.
Let's move on to number 3.
Yeah.
So when I was in Barcelona, I got so drunk that I woke up with a really sore ass and was like, what has happened? And feared for the worst but hoped for the best, and went and looked in the mirror to find that I'd got YOLO tattooed on my bum with a smiley face in one O and a peace sign in the other, and then found, to one of my friends' disgust, that he had got exactly the same tattoo on his bum.
Well, after the Western States booking, this is entirely plausible.
Yeah, this is true. Have you got other tattoos?
Yeah, I've got one tattoo, and I swore I'd never get a tattoo after that because it was so painful, and I don't know how people get them. You see people with all these tattoos, so it's quite unlikely that I'd get another tattoo based on my first experience of having one. And I even went to Thailand and spent all of the time looking at the sakyants there, thinking, shall I get a tattoo with bamboo? And didn't. So
I feel like you could get it. You could go to these really good tattoo places where, what's it called? Like Tattoo Fixers or whatever. There was a program about it, like 3 or 4 years. Tattoo Fixers. You could like. Are you not happy with YOLO, or is it? Is it a grower?
I can't see it most of the time, so And you can do anything after a tequila anyway, can't you? Or.
I'm going to lock in.
I'm thinking that's true.
Okay, I'm going false.
You would do that just to be different.
Well, and also, we've done a few of these now, and I think sometimes it might be that you had a tattoo, but it's not the tattoo you've said. Like a little bit of a spin. So I don't doubt that. I sort of feel like I don't doubt that a tattoo happened, but it wasn't that. There's a twist to it.
You've got experience around the psychology of these questions.
Yeah, going deep, Dave. All right.
Can't get anything past you.
Let's see.
Okay, what was statement number 1? What was it? Was it true or was it false?
No, that is true.
Yes.
You'll see now. I don't know if you can see them.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Black toenails. So. Yeah, I've been doing it for many years and get funny questions and funny looks, but at the end of the day, I am just a man with toenail varnish on.
Yeah. That's it.
It is, whatever. I don't,
I think
it just doesn't matter, does it?
No.
Frankly.
No. Okay, number 2. I went true. You went false about running with the guy from Metallica. Lars
Ulrich. Yeah, he's the nuttiest man ever, and I'm really, really happy to say that one is false. I'm sorry. No, there is truth in it though, because I did message him a couple of times and was like, Lars is going to be in the country. Let's see if we can get him out for a run, and he didn't even pay any attention to me.
It was almost the truth, and the fact that he then said to me, he even said I could check on Strava. Oh,
if Lars is listening to this, which I can almost guarantee with my life that he isn't going to, because he's too busy touring the world with Metallica at the moment. If he was to listen to this, like, up yours, Lars. I've spent many thousands of pounds on your bands and coming to see you, and you couldn't even read my Instagram.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something really kind about him. I was going to say, oh, Max, you should tag Lars in it.
Maybe I still will.
He needs to go and practice his drumming. It's not good anymore.
Oh, great. It's all sounding really personal.
Quickly, that means I know that I got the last one wrong and I'm devastated. You've actually got the tattoo, haven't you?
Yeah, so I've got YOLO tattooed on my arse. Yeah, I do.
Oh, brilliant.
Well done, Max. You won that one.
Oh.
Yeah,
thank
you. Do
you
you get a prize? Is it just the glory of it?
The glory. Like, yes, I'll take it.
He's got to get some wins, Dave. What can I say? There we go.
Yeah,
so let's swiftly move on. Let's not dwell on that loss that I've just had. So if we're going to think and chat about unforgettable trail moments, what was one trail experience that has stuck with you for over the years of ultra running?
I think I've kind of spoken about that, really, and that is running Western States, really. And it was, at the time, it was everything that I wanted from running, and seeing the whiteboard and being there at the start with the day before when you're in a crowd and they get all the front runners out, and Walmsley was running it. And incidentally, it was the year that he didn't finish, but I did. So it was a hotter, harder year that year, and he wasn't man enough to do it, or woman enough to do it overall.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was just an amazing time, and it was amazing afterwards. We went to Vegas and played Kiss Golf. Band Kiss.
Yeah,
I love them. That was one of the highlights as well. Don't know Kiss? Come on. Detroit Rock City, Love Gun.
Hey,
I'll send you. I'll send you some songs along with Cannibal Corpse and Horse Bastards.
You're not researching
I don't need to research, but I'm showing you a picture, and then you're going to go, "Oh yeah."
Go carry on, Dave. Sorry.
So yeah, and it was just like when I was running it, it was really hard, and it was. It was in 40-degree heat, and I think it was the second hottest time it was put on. And you couldn't have broken me. Like, you could have done anything to me, and I wouldn't have been broken. My spirit wouldn't have been broken. I was loving every second of it. And every time I had a little moment of like, oh, it's a bit hot, or feel a bit down, or a bit tired, it doesn't matter. Like, the bigger picture is that I'm fulfilling one of my dreams.
Yeah.
And it was more than I expected it to be, because, when you build things up in your mind, things can really be an anticlimax. It just wasn't. And every moment of it was exactly how I wanted it to be. And, there's my pacer I still speak to now, and he sends me stuff. And he was like, he's part of putting it on now, this guy, Bob Crowley. And he'll send emails out of stuff that he's doing, and it's a nice kind of reminder about what an amazing experience it was. And it genuinely is the best race in the world that I've done. I've only done a few around like abroad, but it's far and above the most amazing experience. And the trail's awesome. It's a great run.
It's so special hearing that, because when we ask our guests what races are on their wish list, it's so often Western States, and you talking about it like you are, it just links and connects to why that is, that so many guests say that. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
There's a bit of an American attitude to meeting people that have similar interests and experiences, isn't there? And there's this one woman, I think her name was it Nikki Kimball or something like that, I met, and she had got a thing on Netflix at the time, and I'd watched her running. She was like, oh my God, you're doing Western States, it's so nice to meet you. You've got ginger hair, so do I. Let's get a photo together. She said, oh, if you come do this again, you can stay around my house. And all of these fake Americanisms that it built you up, and it made you feel sort of part of the family, really.
So will you be following it next week? Will you be following the race?
Next week. No, it's not next week.
Yeah. I think it's normally the same as the Glastonbury weekend, isn't it? So I actually missed out on Glastonbury to go to do the Western States, and it's probably the only thing that would get me away from that festival nowadays, because it's just, it's amazing. But yeah, I will follow it. Yeah, it's got a bit quick now, isn't it? With Walmsley and Tom Evans and David Roach this year, isn't it?
We chatted to Ricky Wynn, and I think he's like rating list number 1.
He's literally flew out today. He's obviously banking on the fact that someone's going to drop out in the next 3 weeks, which I'm sure they will. But
so they normally get like the day before, someone will come off the waiting list, and there'll be this big celebration inside the big hall, and they'll announce it that, like, just yesterday from Seattle, so and so flew over to come off the waiting list. It all adds to that over the top American fanfare of it, as opposed to something like one of the low-key races over here. It's like you get an email and then send us 20 quid and you can come.
So are there any unexpected race day events that you can recall? It's like something odd or unexpected that you're like, oh my gosh.
So I've got a few of these actually, and so there was one at the end of TDS, which I said, I was already told I was absolutely broken at the end of that, and it's one of the hardest races I've done. It's probably harder than UTMB. UTMB is kind of nice and good fun, but TDS has got a little bit of a kind of brutal end to it, and I was running along probably at about 15-minute miles, just shuffling, and I saw this big green streak coming towards me, and it was Walmsley. And I was like, I'm sure that's Jim Walmsley. And it must have been about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. And he came and had a chat and was like, keep on going, dude. And I was like, that was lovely. And it just made that last few miles feel a little bit better, because I just wanted to, I would have been quite happy if someone came with a gun and shot me in the head at that point.
I'd be very grateful for Jim Walmsley.
Yeah. So, it's that really. And actually, Cardiff to London, there was... runners seem to be scared of cows, and I'm one of them. I've learned how to deal with them now. You just got to stay cool.
That's easier said than done. I don't like cows, and I frequently get teased for not liking cows. But then whatever time it was, about 3-4 weeks ago,
you're going to make this into a really big story and show off in front of Dave.
Rob and Sarah are out running, and Rob's like jogging like 50 meters behind Sarah, who's running like a 6-minute 30-mile pace to get out of the field because they're being chased by cows.
Well, I mean, it's true. I can't even defend it. Like, I try and play it down, but on that occasion, many occasions, we've had to go and do big detours because Max is so frightened to go through cows.
Oh, really? Excellent.
Excellent.
I remember on the North Downs 100 once, Heather, my partner, she came and met me, and we did the bit out Detling, which is awful. It's a hateful part of the trail. And on that, there was just 2 massive cows stood on the trail, and she froze. And I was like 80 miles into a race. I was like, no, you can't freeze. We're going past these bloody cows, for God's sake. And had to literally drag her past. And they were just chilling out, weren't they? The tired cows. It was the middle of the night. So they didn't really care.
Oh, another random ultra running through my field. Carry on.
But Cardiff to London, that was the worst moment I've ever had with cows. And it was mostly road, but every now and again it would say go left, and you'd go across the field, and went left, and there was this herd of cows just looking over a farmer's field gate, and there must have been about 50 of them all together, all just standing there like, who's this guy with the head torch coming towards me? And I was like, well, how am I going to get round this? That's the route. But then I don't really want to go round and find a way around them. So I just had to suck it up, and must have taken me 5 minutes to get the urge to just start climbing up the fence. And one of them moved. I thought I'll just try and go by the bush, and then they started getting really curious, and they just following me and surrounding me as I was walking through this field. And I was like, oh.
How many miles in were you at this point?
Probably like 80 or something.
Yeah, you're like, hey, I'm losing time here.
Yeah.
Chop chop.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an uncomfortable feeling. So
yeah.
So if you could give your starting out self, which sounds like a very different Dave to who we're chatting to now, one piece of advice about ultra running, what would it be?
Yeah, when you do an ultra, to take some Imodium with you.
I love it. Out of all the things you could say, take Imodium.
Yeah,
it's true.
Take some Imodium because you'll learn the hard way.
Yeah. Haven't we all learned hard ways of that?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I was thinking that wasn't what I was thinking would go, but we'll take Imodium.
I was listening.
No.
I was listening.
I mean, you probably had some really inspiring stories out of that one, haven't you? But no, I can't give you anything. That's probably the wisest thing that I've,
It'll be the most helpful piece of advice.
I was listening to somebody the other day. Was it on a podcast? I can't remember. But anyway, they were saying that one of their ultras, fairly early on, they had the trots, so they ended up loading up before a race with Imodium, and after about 15 miles, they had to stop because they were so loaded up with Imodium. They hadn't been to the toilet for 18, 24 hours.
God.
So they just, it was a no.
I've heard some great stories about medical mishaps prior to a race. I know someone that went to do the South Downs 100 and was so nervous that they took a couple of Zopiclone and diazepam the night before, but then was so zonked out they couldn't even run properly the next day.
Oh, jeez.
Well, after all the preparation for it.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if you saw the video recently. There was a guy that thought he'd do a prank by downing a load of coffee beans, and in doing so, rather than passing them swiftly through, they all just sat in his bowel, and it almost killed him, and he had to have them surgically removed. I thought it was quite funny.
I can't imagine that they're that easy to digest. They're quite solid.
You know what,
they are.
Max, you wouldn't have that problem if you had instant coffee, would you?
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine what kind of scumbag would have instant coffee?
Yeah.
For any listeners, there's a wild rumor that Dave is a caffeine addict who only drinks posh coffee. Instant coffee is off the table.
Yeah, so you wouldn't want to come here and share a hot beverage with us.
I'll share a hot beverage, but I'll bring it and educate you on what a decent cup of coffee tastes like. So.
I saw a coffee machine the other day, and I was like, right, coffee machine, the time's come. I just want to appreciate coffee a little bit more. Found one, cheap. I was like, perfect, secondhand. And I was greeted with, where's it going to go?
Okay, Michael, does Heather like coffee?
She's in the, I'm an absolute hipster idiot and instant is best.
Okay, yeah. So for me, I don't like the thing is I don't like coffee. So for me, I'm like, well, I'm not going to use it. It's an extra thing on the unit on the sideboard. So anyway, that was my little joke.
Just get it. It's my philosophy of life is it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
I just clocked that.
I'm just going to make a note of this because I think that could work in my favour.
Specifically on Max.
So, speaking of fails or potential fails, we do talk about fails and things which go wrong because we think that's like part and parcel of life in general, and certainly ultra running when things don't go right. So have you got a moment on the trail that did not go as planned, and what did you learn from it? Maybe, for example, not taking Imodium.
Yeah, so now you put it like that, the real, there's a couple of real awesome ones. So I went and did Spartathlon.
Oh, amazing. Have you done that as well?
Yeah, no. This is, as you'll find out now. So I love that race, and I've always wanted to do it. I've seen so many people do it, and thought this looks amazing, and it just so gave up drinking. Sorted my diet out, trained like I'd never trained before, and was like really, really in shape at the start line, and had trained for it like I'd never really trained for anyone, and focused really kind of properly on it. And it just didn't. It was just a no-goer from the start. It like the moment I started running at the Acropolis, and they just sort of went, "Well, off you go." And I thought, "What? This is like Spartathlon. This is supposed to be like a big event." But it felt like it was not properly put on. But that's aside. That doesn't really kind of matter, because everyone says that it is amazing. So I'll go back and have that experience. But when I started running out of Athens, like within the first mile, I was just thought, something's not quite right here. I don't quite feel right. And I was running probably 8.5, 9 minute miles, and felt like I was running a 5K. And it just went downhill from there. And so I had loads of gels and kept on drinking, but I got really dehydrated, and then got like the worst cramp I've ever had in my left leg. And then my bowels went, and then I couldn't run, and then I just ground to a halt. So by 50 miles, I'd sat down, and I'd done 50 miles in about 9 hours, which was approaching cut-off. And when you see all of the signs there telling you what time that aid station closes, you see how close you are to the cut-offs, and it starts to get really stressful, because it feels quite early on in the race. But I'd got cramp, and then they said, "Oh, you've still got time to, get up and sort yourself out." So I did, and tried to keep on going. But it was just like, I can't even get upset by it, because there was no emotion involved, because I wasn't doing well, and had it pulled, the carpet or rug pulled from underneath me. It just felt like a crap run. So and it was like one of my life goals to go and do that race, and it just didn't happen at all. There was just no redeeming factors in doing it and having a crack at it. There was nothing that had gone well that I could have reflected on. It just, almost from the moment it started, there was no point in going out of Athens.
Was it hot?
It was quite hot, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too hilly. I wasn't going too fast. There was nothing that I'd done particularly wrong. And that's probably what stressed me out, is that, even though I wasn't doing anything too out of the ordinary, too crazy in my own approach to it, that, maybe I just need to not give up drinking, and I'll run better.
Yeah, maybe.
Is it still on the list? Is it still on the bucket list?
Yeah, I do want to go back. It's part of my plan over the next couple of years, because it took me like 5 or 6 years to get into it as well. So I was super gutted. And they left me in it probably for 15 miles before they shot me in the head and put me in the van and drove me slowly to Sparta.
Yeah, but do you know what?
Yeah.
I guess everybody's going to have races like that. And just where, for whatever reason, things just don't align, or maybe you're just not quite right medically, but without being able to like pinpoint what's going on. It's just, I guess that's...
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Whereas sometimes, like, Cardiff to London, I was really stressed out beforehand. Like, work was awful. I was drunk too much in the few weeks beforehand. My diet had fallen off a cliff, and all of the worst things that you can do. Yeah, on the start line, I was like, "Well, I feel pretty good today."
Yeah. Did you enjoy that run?
Yeah.
As in enjoy, I know it's a mad word about an ultra that you can't listen to music and it's so monster, but was it? Yeah, was it?
It was great. Yeah, it's a great route. It's a great race. There's a little bit of support, pop noodle here and there to keep you going. It's not too crazy. It's a long way, 200 miles, but it's not a crazy route either. There's lots of flat Thames path, and support in shops and pubs and all of that. So you're not out on your own in the middle of nowhere fending for yourself. It's an achievable 200 miler.
Do you have a plan? Do you write a plan beforehand about where you're going to stop and sleep, or do you go with how you feel?
Just keep on going until you get told to stop. That's my philosophy really for that kind of thing.
So during these monster races, including the Cardiff to London, how do you handle, which there are, the mental low points? And I guess you'd have had that in the answer you just gave with the Spartathlon. Any mantras or strategies that you use?
Yeah, so the big one is just to stay patient, because I'm a strong believer in most situations, you can problem solve. And even if you feel really bad, there's normally a solution out of that. So and staying patient. And even when you feel good and even if you're quite tired or you're getting a bit negative or something, it's just to sort of remind yourself, just be patient, because tomorrow you'll look back on this and you'll think, thank God I did that. Whereas if you let the mental weakness in, then you're going to look back and be really disappointed with yourself. And I've done a couple of DNFs through not packing the head, not packing the mindset. So it's about learning to keep that mindset. So some of the strategies that I have is that if I'm starting to get a bit negative and I've been going for 24, 30 hours, just have a 10-minute lie down. And then that will literally transform your perspective of the race. If you feel like you're doing bad, lie down for 10 minutes, you'll wake up, and then suddenly you'll be positive. You'll think that you can do it. You'll be more motivated. And that 10-minute lie down will just change things straight away. And it's worked every time. I've done like a really, really long race. So that's the sort of main one is, patience is key with ultra running, because if you're like me and I'm a mid-packer for most things that I do, if I was to do Centurion, there's no way that I would be anywhere close to the sharp end. But 24 hours running or 20 hours running is still a long time to keep running. So just being patient, keep on eating, throw up if you need to. Have a big bar if you need to as well.
You also mentioned earlier about meditation, that you like to meditate. And I think if you're going to have a rest like that, also you must be thinking with your resetting your whole mental approach with the meditation too, right?
Yeah. So doing yoga is one of my big passions now as well. So hot yoga and 26 and 2 and hot flow, Ashtanga yoga, that kind of thing. So just having that ability to just, everything's all right, it's all cool. There's no problems right now if we stay present. So
it's on my to-do list. I find it really hard to sort of be in the moment. I'm too hectic.
Yeah, but that can be your weapon, that can be your superpower.
Yeah, but it's something that people have suggested about yoga being a thing to have and to try, and how it does link well to running with the core strength. One day maybe.
It's good, and it allows you just to, if you get a bit kind of a bit heady on a long run or an ultra,
I think
you're starting to get negative thoughts. You can just like shut your eyes as you run and do a quick body scan if you know how to do it, if you've learned it, and then you'll just remind yourself that I might have tight hips and sore calves, but I'm still running, I'm still going. It's fine, and that works really well at the tunnel. Like if I was having a dark moment, just remind myself, actually, I haven't pulled my calf, I haven't torn any muscles, I've got sore hips, but that's understandable because I've run 180 miles.
Lindsay Gossage from the Spine, she had a quote that has very much stuck with me from January, and she says, "It is a privilege to feel pain." And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like when you say sore hips, my shins are hurting, my calves are hurting, but we are still moving, and aren't we lucky? So
yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely. I like that.
Yeah.
Right, this takes us on to the quick fire round. So these are just 1 or 2 word answers, or just short phrases, just as quickly as possible. So question number 1, favorite running terrain?
Right.
Favorite ultra distance?
100.
Preferred
miles. Preferred audio on long runs, tunes, podcasts, or silence? Silence.
Favorite post race meal?
Curry.
Ooh.
most underrated piece of gear that you own?
Pair of shorts. They're lost in everyone's kind of desire to have all of the gear, where you just need a pair of shorts and t-shirt.
Yeah. Weather preference for racing, hot or cold?
Hot.
Sunrise or sunset?
The running sunrise.
Oh,
Chilling in the garden, sunset.
First D and F.
The hill.
Oh.
The hill, yeah.
Commonly, well, do you have a commonly forgotten race day item?
No, I don't think I do. I'm normally pretty good. I think S-caps maybe the one thing.
Pre-race superstition or ritual, if any.
Getting some tiger's eye and putting it in your pocket. Tight.
Isn't that the special smelly thing?
No, the tiger. People think it's a crystal, but really it's just a brown and black piece of stone.
Okay. Dream finish line in the next 5 years.
Lon Las Cymru.
So,
where's that one?
That's one that I'd almost won a couple of years ago, and is 253 miles long. And I was way out in first place, and I got to Merthyr Tydfil with just about a marathon to go, and had lost my mind and didn't know my name and couldn't stand up properly and didn't know where I was or what I was doing or anything like that. So got pulled out of the race.
How far from the end?
A marathon. I've run 227 miles without any stopping.
So you'd go back and do that again as your dream race to do?
To get to the finish, yeah. It's my ultimate. And after that one, I'm going to try and do a faster marathon. I feel like I've done ultras to death, but you know.
What one to have on the bucket list?
So that's quick fire round done. So just lastly then, what, if you don't mind sharing, what could be in store for the next 12 months or so?
So, yeah, I mean, I've just I would like to do a faster marathon. I've always fancied going under 3 hours for marathon, and that's something I've never really got that close to. So I've done 3:15, I think, was my fastest, and that was with a little bit of focused training. But I find when I go too fast, I start getting a bit more niggly. So I wouldn't mind doing that. And then if I can get into next year's Spartathlon, that would be really, really good. But aside from that, Lon Las, which is in October this year, and that's 253 miles non-stop. It's the UK's longest road race, which I think you get 88 hours to do, and you get water every 25 miles, and then you drop bag every 50 miles. So it's quite a challenge. And for me, it represents one of the kind of ultimate mental and physical challenges that you can get to quite easily in the UK. That's not £1,500 like the Spine is, you know, and is a couple of £100, and you can, you know, get there easily and do it without really breaking the bank. You know, I've got a good job and I've got a good family, but you know, got to be sort of conservative at times, and you know, and actually, the cost isn't anything. It's when I first saw it, I thought, wow, that is quite something. And I just really, really want to finish it. And last time when I got pulled out with a marathon to go, it became part of our vocabulary at home now. So if we're massive rugby fans, so if someone's going to score a try and drops the ball on the line, they've done a Lon Las.
Yeah.
So and we use it all the time now, doing a Lon Las or Lon Last it. And so yeah, I want to go back and redeem myself on that one. So that would be my ultimate, and it's one of the hardest races that I can see out there outside of doing the Spine. And you know, to have the opportunity of almost winning it as well was a position that I'd never really been in before. So I'd probably go back and try.
Oh, well, if it happens, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, cheers. And then the hill is the other one. So that's the one I have to go redeem myself on.
Where is the hill?
So the hill, it was like Mark's original event, which was 160 miles going up and down the same hill. And it looks crazy. And I've tried it a couple of times and it's really, really, really hard. So, yeah, I'd like to do that.
How big? Wow. How long's the hill?
It's at the Wrekin this time in Shropshire. So it works out as 47,000 feet over 160 miles. So it's probably like 50 ups, up and downs or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Wow, that's pretty extreme.
There we go.
And there we go. Awesome. Well, yeah, we look forward to maybe seeing you at the SMOGATHon.
I look forward to seeing some morning runs, afternoon runs.
Yeah. Are you guys at the South Downs 100 in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, you.
Well, I've got a place to run it, but I'm a bit niggly still, so I'm not going to do it. But I will be around the trails of Sustainability Centre or QE to wave.
Oh, so we'll be at QE. We're crewing our absent friend today, Big Rob. And then a friend of ours is pacing him for 25, and then I'm pacing him for 25 at the end. So
oh, brilliant!
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I might see you.
We'll if we could bump into you.
Cool.
We'll have to we'll message you. That'd be great.
Yeah,
I'll see you Saturday.
I'll bring all of the bands on a little bit of paper and just sort of hand you.
You could do. DDP did say don't ask him to name any on the podcast. He actually did say that.
That's a fair comment from me.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for giving up your time and chatting.
Such a great chat. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.